Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our Wednesday webinar. A lot of people coming into the the Zoom here. I see Abdul is here, Albert, hey, Barbara's here, Becky, Candace, Gory, Lucy. Hello, 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 everybody. We had a bunch of people sign up for this webinar. I'm really excited to chat with Jeff today. He's going to share how he built his billing business and what he's got going on. He's been doing this for several years now and is excited to talk to you guys and answer your questions about starting your own billing business. That's what this is all about. So, if I am being heard loud and clear, could you guys just let me know? Give me a little emoji or maybe type in the Q&A box your name and where you're from. And by the way, the Q&A box is where you can type in questions to Jeff. Your questions for Jeff are more important than my questions. Of course, I have some prepared ones, but if I'm not asking the right questions, you got to type them in there and I will ask Jeff your questions. As long as they're not something super weird, I'll ask him. So hopefully you guys can see my slides here. Let's see. Let me get my little Q&A box open. There it is. Oh, Becky can hear me. Hey, Becky. She's in Austin. All right. Lucy can hear me. Great. Omasanya, hello. Hey, Sherry. Sherry's on here. We chatted with Sherry just recently. Cool. All right. Well, everybody is wanting to get some tips and tricks from Jeff. So let me just quickly go through this little intro here. Again, just a reminder, the Q&A box, anytime you think of a question, you can type it in there. And as we get to the questions, we'll start reading those off for Jeff. And I am Adam Phillips. I am the CEO of American Business Systems. I'm really glad that you guys are joining us today. And I'm filling in for Eric. Eric is out of town right now. So he's the one that you guys will usually see on here. But anyway, I'm the CEO of American Business Systems, and also I'm a co-founder of the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. This is an organization that we founded in order to certify our business owners so that they have an accreditation to point to when they're out there talking with people, doctors, office managers, just to let them know that you've gone through a certification program for medical billing and revenue cycle management. So that's what MIRMA is. That's MIRMA.org. You can go check that out. And what you get when you finish the American Business Systems training program is a certificate. You actually become a CMRM, which we call a Certified Medical Revenue Manager. Okay, so you'll get a certificate. You can add those letters at the end of your name, make you look more important, because part of this business is positioning yourself and letting the doctors know that you know what you're doing, and letting them know that you have a team of people behind you helping you do a lot of the work that you're offering for them. So that's what you get. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to see if Jeff is on, and there he is. Hey, Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really glad to have you on here. I think we chatted with you a long while back, a couple years back, and so
Mhm.
I'm really excited to get an update from you on what you've got going on with your business. And so as we're waiting for people to ask questions here, I've got some questions we can start with. Why don't we just start with the beginning? What inspired you to start your own medical billing business? What was your business background? What kind of work experience did you have? You want to start there?
Sure, that's great. No, uh, again, thanks for having me. But I had a almost 30-year career, 28 and a half year career in pharmaceutical sales. So I was real familiar with marketing to doctors and comfortable doing that, but I knew literally nothing about billing. So back in 2017, I had a chance to take an early buyout from the company that I was with for a long time, and and I was at that time too young to just sit around and do nothing. So I started exploring different businesses, franchises mainly, and in the context of that, in the course of that, I came across ABS, and ABS I don't consider a franchise at all because there are no royalties. I've not paid a dime to ABS beyond the initial licensing fee there.
Mhm.
But it met and checked off a lot of the boxes that my wife and I were looking for. So in other words, specifically, um, the ability to work remotely as opposed to having to go in to a brick and mortar place and have to open a door from and be there from 8 to 6, every day, or 8 to 8 or something like that. I knew I wanted something that again was remote, that I could work from home if I wanted to, or if I could work, if I could do that from anywhere in the world. That's was the main thing for me. Plus, I saw the opportunity to make good income, and that has been the case for sure. Um, I actively actively run this business from all over the place. We go on vacation. If I go on vacation, I'll bring my computer and I'll do a working vacation. I'll work first thing in the morning and late at night, and in the middle we'll go outside and goof around or go to the beach and or what have you. But my point is that this is that type of a business that you can work from wherever you want. So that's what I had looked into back then, and I again looked at lots of different franchises. Settled on ABS, which again is not a franchise, and it's worked out really, really well.
Yeah. Now you said that you were in pharmaceutical sales. Is that
Hmm.
right?
That's right.
So
Yep.
many, many years. So people might be thinking, oh, well, this must have been a breeze for you to get in here and start getting clients. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess the one thing that I did bring to my business, this business here, is my comfort, if you will, with talking to doctors. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
real familiar with that, and
Wow.
have marketed to doctors. So that was an advantage, admittedly. However, I knew zero. I mean, nothing about billing, literally nothing. So everything I've learned about billing has been since I started this business. That was my main concern. I mean, I knew. I just knew conceptually what I wanted, as I described earlier, but I was apprehensive about the billing part, honestly, and that's a large part of, if not 90 or 95% of what we do. As
Yeah.
it turns out, well, back then I leaned on the support department a lot. They probably got tired of me um, calling or emailing all the time, but that ended up being the best part of the entire opportunity, was the ability to have someone there, essentially a team of people that you can call and get really good advice, get good direction, and I took full advantage of it. I leaned on the support department. They told me what to do. I went and did it, and shazam, it worked. And here we are 8 years later, and it's been great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you when was your training? So it was 8 years ago.
I just passed. Yep, I remember it was May of 2017. So we're it was right about now. So it's been a full 8 years.
Okay, so
Um, yep. Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. The full 8 years, and then back then we had to. It's not remote training like it is right now, or
Yeah.
online training. We went down and sat in a meeting room at some hotel in Grapevine, Texas, and it was fun. It was a lot of information in a short period of time, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a week long class. So for
That's
those
right.
of you that don't know, we used to spend a lot of time and money flying people all over the United States to a hotel in Grapevine, Texas. Uh,
That's right.
it was a whole big ordeal, and they were great. They were very fun, very interactive. We actually went virtual before COVID happened, believe it or not. So that was very fortuitous, if that's the right word. So now we've been doing virtual trainings, and they've been going really well because people can do them one-on-one with an instructor, and they get a little bit more, attention paid to them, and it's just a little bit more of a personal, training, and they're able to get all their questions answered, and so they've been going. It's been going really well. Okay, so you finished the training 8 years ago. Did you jump in head first full time, or did you have to kind of do it part time? You weren't working, right? So you were basically full time.
Exactly. No, I again had a real good situation to start this business. A real good. It was really good timing. Um, I I did this full time, so I set up my business before I went to training, meaning that I registered it and got my website going, and did all the you know mechanics, if you will, of getting the business together. And
Mhm.
when I got back from training, I hit it really hard. I marketed my business pretty much every day, not all day every day, but I'd go for a couple 3 hours each day, and focus on developing the business or finding a client. Really, is what I was doing at
Hmm.
that time. Um, so I had that as an advantage. Now, there are lots of people who build this business while they are, keeping while they're continuing to work at another job there, and that's perfectly fine. It can be done. It's harder, but in my case, I had the opportunity to do lots of marketing right out of the gate, right after training.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of people that just can't up and quit their jobs as much as they would like to, So
That's right.
we definitely can show people how to do this business part-time, and you really just kind of have to work with our support team to figure out the marketing plan that works best around your schedule and what you got going on, and just make it work. So
Yeah.
your marketing plan, I mean, what was your initial, was it a multi-pronged approach? Were you trying several different methods? What was your main focus as far as the type of marketing that you were doing?
hmm Yep. So, well, one of the nice things, uh, by way of background, one of the things that I was really pleasantly surprised about was that in training, ABS covers lots of different marketing methods, lots of different marketing ideas. I was honestly amazed at how many different ways you can market a business, and it's still the case today. I mean, there's still lots of different ways. Um, so what I did is what I did was I picked three methods, three main ones. I wish I would have done one other thing, but the three that I did was what is known as direct contact marketing, which is very similar to what I was doing in pharmaceutical sales, going into an office, dropping off information, not
Hmm.
not necessarily staying there really long at all. As a matter of fact, you just walk in, say nice things about your business, ask if they could pass this along to the doctor, and then turn
Yeah.
around, go out. So I mean that was basically how that worked. I did that. Uh, did a lot of warm marketing, which is another marketing method that folks are taught in training, and the other one was direct mail. I did some direct mail. That was okay. I tried to reach out to people who were beyond my beyond what would be a reasonable drive to their office, or beyond the area, and it worked okay. I mean, I got some conversations with some folks that way. But for me, what worked was direct contact marketing. The one thing I wish I would have done more of was Facebook and digital marketing. That has really become really prominent these days. Um, it's just it's a good opportunity, and one that can be done, by the way, whether you have a job or not. I mean, you can do that at night, or you don't have to go out to different offices at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think too many people do that, where they go out to different offices and drop off information. For me, it worked. For me, it worked. But for others, that digital marketing or something that can be done from home is a real good way to go. But the idea, at least as I understood through training, was to pick not to do all 12 or 14 or 15 different marketing methods,
Mhm.
but to pick two or three or four that fit into your lifestyle and your skills and aptitudes and that type of thing, and really run with them. Just be consistent with the marketing, and that's what I did, and it worked out well.
Yeah. Now you said your primary method was what we call direct contact, which is a nice way to say cold calling, really.
Right, right. Yep.
Now that word is a bad word to a lot of people, and if you're not comfortable with that style, we have other methods like Jeff mentioned, where you can kind of set it and forget it, automated drip marketing campaigns and things like that. But let's talk about how you did it. I mean, did you do any research on the practices that you went into? I mean, did you truly walk in cold, or did you do some detective work and kind of figure out who you were talking to or who you were looking to talk to and stuff like
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, no, I definitely did that. I actually put together a target list based on the research that I had done at the time. Specifically, I was looking for small offices and offices that you can sort of tell by looking at websites and reviews and that type of thing, if how things are going. If there's you know opportunities for improvement, that would be someone who would go on my list.
Hmm.
Um, if it was a large office at the time, I was not ready for that. I just I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the knowledge, didn't know how
Yeah.
to do billing, and I didn't want to run a 8 or 10 or 12 physician practice into the ditch. So um, I started with small practices, ones that you can focus on. Um, but to your original question, Adam, I definitely did do research prior to going out. I just did not go out willy-nilly and you know drop things off here or there. I did it was real specific and real targeted, and it paid off actually. I got my
So
first client in about 2 months or so. It took about two
oh, that was
months.
my next question. Okay, so
Mhm.
2 months and you got your first client,
Yeah,
roughly.
well, my first billing client. So I prior to that, I got a an audit guard client for those who are new or who are I guess researching ABS right now. Audit guard is one of the services that we can bring to a doctor's office or provider's office. So I was out and about, and I got a phone call when I was back at my home, and the office manager from this office said, "Hey, Jeff, I noticed that you dropped off some information. As a matter of fact, we are having a Medicare audit coming up here. Can you come in and talk to us?" And all of a sudden, I'm in front of an office manager and one of the doctors there talking about one of the products that we have available at our disposal there. So that was my first client. My first billing client, as I say, was about 2 months, might have been 2 months and a week or so after training. My second client was about a month after that, and my third client was about maybe 3 months after that. So within 6 months, I had, or about 5 months, I had three clients here. But that was just a function of being real active with marketing. I always say the harder you work, the more luck you get, or the the saying. But that's definitely the case in my case. I was out there real consistently and started to get lots of phone calls, and it worked out really well.
Yeah. So did you say what specialty those clients, all of the clients were? Were they different specialties or?
Um, let's see. The first two were family practice or general practice, and interestingly, they were both mid-level providers. So these were one was a PA, one was a nurse practitioner. They happened to own their own practice or their own business there. That's common. That I mean, it's not as common as having a MD or a DO at an office there, but it is possible for nurse practitioners and PAs to own their own practice. So those are my first two targets. They were solo providers. They they met the exact uh, I guess parameters that I was kind of looking for: small offices, solo providers,
Yeah.
and maybe having a little bit of problems, that type of thing. So I was able to help them out a lot. Third one it was and is, and by the way, those first two are still on board. But the third one was a physical therapy office, solo provider as well,
Okay.
and they're still clients.
Yeah, I like to differentiate for people on the webinars because a lot of times someone will say, well, I have 5 clients, but that client could be a multi-doctor practice that's, way bigger than you think, because sometimes you hear one client, you think it's one doctor, but that's not necessarily the case. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you clarified that. I got a question from Mariana here. Mariana is one of our business owners. She says, I'm still struggling to get doctors or at least get a free demo. Wonder if there is a tip on how to convince them to at least hear what you have to offer. Do you have
Hmm.
any tips for Mariana?
Well, let's see. Again, the base or basic tip I would say is just be really active in your marketing. Again, good things happen the more active you are. Um, I guess you would want all interactions to be non-threatening. I mean, meaning that you're not going to go in and slam dunk an office or anything, really, trick someone into being a client. It just doesn't work that way. In fact, on the contrary, in my opinion, need to build up some trust and uh, build a rapport, hopefully, and then people want to do business with people that they know and like. Um, so to your question, Mariana, I guess I would say be real active with your marketing. Continue to do that. But as far as the actual, let me think here. How would I do that? You could say something like the organization I'm affiliated with has been able to help thousands of practices become more streamlined and profitable. Um, if you're willing, doctor, to sit down, or Ms. Office Manager, whoever you're talking to, for about 20 minutes or so, I can give you an idea of some of the services we provide. I can't promise that we will be able to help your office, but in many cases we are able to bring some solutions to your office that might help help overall. So something like that. I mean, you're contracting for time. You want to ask them for a certain amount of time, 15, 20, 25 minutes, that type of thing, and let them know why you want to meet with them, and make it really non-threatening. So something like that would be my approach.
Yeah, now I'd like to stress again, Mariana, that Jeff is highly skilled in the area of direct contact. You have to understand that. So he's very comfortable with it. I know that there are a lot of people that are not comfortable with it. And so that's why we do have alternate methods. And I do see an additional comment from her asking if you've ever used a Google platform to market your business. I think maybe she's talking about Google AdWords or something. She's making some comments here about I'm using direct mail, using a marketing team with direct mail, and she hasn't gotten a lot of leads from direct mail, it sounds like. Um, so yeah, I mean, any other thoughts on a multi-pronged approach of sorts? I don't know.
For sure. Yeah. The thing that comes to mind with, because as I mentioned earlier, I too did direct mail. I think it does have its place. I don't, well, I do know I would not make it my main method of marketing, because it's just too easy to, take an envelope and, take an envelope and say, oh, it's a nice envelope, and throw it in the garbage, that type of thing. Um,
Yeah.
it's less easy to dismiss someone standing right in front of you, especially if they're friendly and nice, and that type of thing. So that's why I gravitated to direct contact marketing. At some point, you're going to have a conversation with an office manager or a doctor, or heck, even a receptionist, someone involved with the office there. And that's why I did that. Now, again, that was me. The one thing that I don't know if I made this point, I know I was swerving toward this, but the one thing I wish I would have done is more digital marketing. So that you mentioned the Google ads. I think that's okay. I think Facebook advertising would be something that where I still actively looking for new providers. Right now, I'm doing it, getting all my new clients by referrals. Um,
Mhm.
but were I actively looking for that first client, I would incorporate that into a marketing plan. It wouldn't be the only thing I did, but you want to, as Adam pointed out, you want to have a multi-prong approach. Don't go overboard, but pick again 2 or 3 or 4 different ways to market your business, and digital marketing would be one of my prongs, if you will.
Yeah, and we have resources. We've done webinars on, specifically marketing using LinkedIn, marketing using another site called Alignable. We did a webinar on some licensees that were successful getting clients through Alignable. We have resources for helping you with SEO, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, all that stuff that we can help you explore. But like Jeff mentioned, there can be some cost to that you would have to pay for some of that stuff. So you just have to be able to, stomach the cost of Google ads, because you have to pay for every time somebody clicks on it. You got to pay for it. So you got to weigh your options there on that. Let's see. I got two people at the same time asked a question related to Zoho. Shazia, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Do you use Zoho marketing automation for marketing? And did you get any clients with this method? And someone else said, I recently started using Zoho marketing automation. My problem is finding the email addresses of leads. Do you have any tips? That's from Omasanya.
Yes. So Zoho, I'm real familiar with. I use it all the time. It's the CRM that I used to use all the time. I don't use it that much anymore. Zoho marketing, I have not done, Omasanya, but I know that people are using it. I don't know how successful it's been so far, but I suspect it is a real good way to go. Um, And I'm sorry, Adam, forgive me. What was the second part of that question there?
Well, let's see. Basically, someone was just asking if you yourself used Zoho
Gotcha.
email marketing. Did you get any clients with that method? And then the other problem was finding email addresses to use that
Oh,
service.
yes, right, right. Yes, thank you. Well, uh, I have not used that method. That's the one thing that I wish I would have done is incorporate that type of marketing, digital marketing of some sort into my initial approach here. As far as email addresses, there was a webinar about 2 months ago or so that that ABS sponsored that talked about how to find emails, I guess, and
Mhm.
create an email list. It's not easy. I mean, although you could buy emails. I've had people, as a matter of fact, I got in my inbox right now. Um, I have a opportunity to buy 10,000 emails to physicians for however much they're asking for it. I guess I'm not going to do it, but you can do that type of thing. Back to the webinar from a couple months ago. They talked about talked about how to find emails for uh, social workers, I believe, social workers or behavioral health. So if you're part of ABS, I probably take a look at that, and that has some real good tips in it, how to get emails and how to actually market to those providers.
Yeah, and Lucy asked that same question about email marketing. So, like Jeff said, he wishes he had been using that more.
Mhm.
Do you know if the NPI database does that have email addresses listed or no?
No, it does not. It's got lots of other information, but not email,
Yeah.
to my knowledge.
Yeah. So that's you want to tell people real quick what that NPI database is?
Sure. Yeah, I use it all the time. NPI database is basically a site that allows you to look up any NPI, National Provider Index, is that what it's called, or indicator, I guess,
Sure.
number, whatever, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it stands for. But it looks up. You can look up any NPI number or any list of physicians or providers who are in a certain geographical area. So I use that a lot when I first started. That's how I created my target list. That was my first step to creating a target list, was to get there and maybe, for example, look at all the physical therapists. I mentioned that earlier, physical therapists who were in my hometown. And then once I had that list of physical therapists from that NPI lookup tool, um, then I would do some individual, investigation, I guess, do Google searches or Facebook searches or something like that. Excuse me, to try to determine if they were a small office or owned by a hospital, for example, that type of thing. So,
Mhm.
so that's to me, that's where that site can be really useful is in creating target lists.
Yeah, so for those of you that aren't aware, our support team can actually work with you and help you, figure out how to do lookups in that NPI registry. And that's another thing where we say, look, this is a really good starting point to get, kind of targeted on certain areas, practice sizes, specialties, that sort of thing. But you really have to take that list and do some detective work, looking up their websites, doing some research. And actually, I would imagine looking up a lot of the practices' websites, you could then, in fact, find email addresses that you could possibly use.
That's right.
That's
That's
just
right.
a guess. So yeah, so we can help you with that. Now, that's a much better way to get a lead list, in my opinion. You doing some real targeted searching and detective work. I wanted to ask you this though, going back to, you mentioned that you got some spam email saying you could buy 10,000 emails or whatever. What if someone is coming to you and promising you a list of targeted, leads that you can buy? Have you ever done that? What is your thought on that? What is your, do you have any experience? I mean, are they gonna be quality, or what's the deal with those
Yeah.
lead lists that you can buy?
Yeah, that's a hard question. It's I clearly understand the benefit if you had a legitimate list of emails there. Um, and I've heard of some people having success in buying a list and then marketing to that list. I have not done it. Um, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I just, I don't know that. I mean, they're not cheap. You buy, I think 10,000.
Right.
What I saw, 10,000 emails are going to cost you about $1,500 or so. That's a decent amount of money
Yeah.
especially when you're starting out. Um, so to me, six of one, half dozen the other. To me, there's other marketing methods. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, other sources of email list. I do like the idea of email marketing a lot, actually. But finding the emails. I think there's other ways to do it, especially to focus locally. Get local emails that may be an advantage. But
Yeah. And I
yeah,
think what I'm hearing from you is a lot of those lead lists, it really kind of depends on the company that you're buying from as far as the quality that you're getting.
that's right.
But the more you pay, probably they're going to be a little bit more of a hot lead, I would think, but who knows?
Mhm. Mhm.
So there's better ways to go about it, I guess is my point. I got a comment here from Barbara. Barbara says, I'm an ABS business owner. I used Google Ads and landed my first client in Arizona. It is a solo provider, but it's easier when someone is already actively searching for our services. And she also added, I love our support team. They're always there for me. Thank you, Barbara, for those kind words.
That's great. That's awesome about this.
Appreciate that.
And yeah, no, I like I said, I think there, without a doubt, is there's a lot of legitimacy to that. And like I said, I wish I would have done that because it would have helped my business grow a little bit faster. But that's great. That's great, Barbara. Good for you.
Yeah, awesome. Love to hear that. So let's go into a little bit of like day to day. So when you first started out, you got your first client, you always had in mind that you wanted to do the work yourself, right? So what does a day in the life of Jeff look like when you first started and now?
When I first started, okay, it's actually kind of circling back to pretty close to when I first started there. But so I did and still do, but I'll talk about back in 2017. Did do all the marketing and client relations and once I landed the clients, did all the billing, and I still do to a degree. Now we've had employees now, my daughter's working with us and for us right now. But back then I would do the billing. I mean, first thing you're talking workflows. I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but I process payments first thing in the morning. That kind of tells you what you need to do as far as following up on claims that were not paid necessarily for the rest of the day. And then later in the day I do claims and in between do some marketing, that type of thing. So the problem with signing clients is that all of a sudden you got to do a little bit of work, and and I'm joking here, but what it does do is it took away from marketing from for it took the market my ability the time that I had available to do
Yeah,
marketing. It kind of took that away.
yeah.
But that's okay. Once you get the hang of it, the billing part is not difficult at all. I just didn't know anything about billing when I first started, so I had to really, really concentrate on that and really learn that and focus on it. And that did take some time. But now that I sort of know what I'm doing, got much more free time.
Did ABS help you with the medical billing training, or how did that
No,
work?
100%. I mean, they essentially taught me everything. I mean, that and made full use of the iClaim EMRX demo system. But yes, if I had questions, I called the support team, as a matter of fact, and um, you know, uh, they helped me through that first 6 months or so. And then once, the thing is that once you get the hang of it, you realize that it's, this isn't, rocket science, so to speak. I mean, you do have to focus and you do have to be smart and you got to you got to spend some time learning. There's a lot of learning involved, but once you get it, it's not difficult. You just got to. It just takes work and focus, in my opinion. And yeah, so
Yeah, and some of those specialties are kind of like the same thing over and over again, right? Lots of similar claims and
no
similar
question.
codes and that sort of thing.
Yeah, specifically, like some of the ones that I have right now, have several behavioral health clients. Uh, those are they use the same code over and over. I mean, the same CPT code.
Yeah.
I use exactly one code for behavioral health.
Yeah.
I got to memorize 90837. Um, and physical therapy is also very similar. They you can get into some different codes there, but the thing about physical therapy is again without I'm going to get down in the weeds here for just a bit. But think about someone who comes in for physical therapy. They're coming in for the same thing every single time. So a sore right knee, something like that. So the diagnosis code is not going to change. So what you do with those is you create a template. So when Mr. Jones comes in for his sore right knee therapy, you just call up that template. 90% of the template is filled already. It
Mm.
pre-populates, and I just double check the CPT codes, check to make sure it's not going to be rejected, and send it on its way. So if I spend more than a minute on a claim for physical therapy, I'm working too hard.
So it's a template of the claim form.
Yes. Well, and now the physical therapist that I have works in NextGen, which is one of our product partners there. It's one of the software partners there. So
Right.
what you're able to do in NextGen is once you send a claim in, you can also save it as a template for future claims for that patient there, and that's what I do. I save it for in that example, Mr. Jones, and every time I see Mr. Jones coming up on the calendar, or when it's time to do a claim for him, I'll just open the template and it'll pre-populate the claim that I'm about to send in, and I'll make sure that everything makes sense, nothing has changed, and then I click the button and off it goes. So that's how it works. So to your point, to your original question, it's there can be some repetition. There's a lot of repetition, but that's not a bad thing, because if there's plenty of other things that you have to think about. If you don't have to think about the makeup of a claim, then that makes it easier, makes
So
work.
one physical therapist doctor doing the billing for that doctor, how much time per day do you spend on that one doctor
Um,
doing the
fi
claim?
uh, 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Wow.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yep.
And since we're talking about PT, we got a question from Lucy. What's your experience with physical therapy? Do you have physical therapy clients? From my town here, there is uh, a lot of physical therapy clinics here.
Hmm. Good. Wow. I'd love to be in your town. Seriously. Seriously. Yes, I do have a physical therapy client, and um, the experience has been great. We just talked about them, but they've been that was my third client. I mentioned earlier that I signed three in the first 5 or so months. That was my third client, and they're still with us 8 or 7.5 years later, and they like what we do. So yeah, it's a great specialty to work with. So it's one of my favorites to work with specialty.
Yeah, Lucy, that's actually one of the four specialties that we what did we call it? Low hanging fruit. I forget what term.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
We did a webinar recently to talk specifically about the four, which is physical therapy, behavioral health, social workers. What was the other one?
And chiropractors.
Chiropractors. Yeah.
Mhm.
So those specialties are typically can be very small solo practitioners, but a lot of times those doctors themselves are actually going out to networking events and different events in your area, your city. And so you're it's easier to almost kind of like run into them through networking and maybe getting a referral to them. And a lot of times they don't have anybody doing the billing. It's just them, one man, one woman show. And they're just easier clients to get. Now they are lower revenue, but for a first or second client, those are excellent specialties to focus on.
That's right. Yep. And just to add to that briefly, Adam, the thing about any specialty, but especially behavioral health, is that there's such a network of providers, and they're so tightly knit that if you do a good job for one of them, trust me, they've got all kinds of friends in the same business, and they will refer you to those people. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, hearing from you that you focus on direct contact, usually when I interview someone, they talk mostly about getting their first client through networking, but you were
Yes.
different. You did direct contact, which is great. I mean, it's what you're familiar with,
It worked for me. That's right. That's right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's the other thing I forgot about networking. That would be another one would, I wish I would have done more. I did warm marketing a lot, in other words, networking within my friend and associate group, I guess. But an official like a BNI type thing or you know, so the networking in general is a lot of people have been really successful using that.
Well, you can still do it. There's still time.
That's right. That's right.
We'll talk about that here in a minute, though, as far as your time. Yeah, so actually, Don typed this in right when I asked you that question. He said, "Do you handle your medical billing or is it outsourced?" So you've always wanted to be hands-on with the work. You've never considered having one of our other resources do the work for you, the billing work. What?
Yeah, I've wanted to you know keep an eye on things. Honestly, is what I've wanted to do. And that's just me. I mean, I'm sure there's I know there's people who have really successfully used or who have outsourced their billing, and
Mhm.
again, that's one of the things that's so um, what's the word? It's one of the great benefits of ABS is that there are, and about the opportunity in general is that there's so many ways to build a business, so many ways. One of them is to outsource the billing. I mean, we have we meaning ABS licensees have the ability to um, contract with outfits that are halfway across the world, and I know people are doing that with great degrees of success, and I just chose to go a different way. I just chose to kind of keep an eye on things. I just it's I'll bore you too much here, but by virtue of the fact that I'm into my career quite a ways, and getting toward the end of it, I wanted to keep my business a certain size. I wasn't that interested in managing people, but I do get jazzed by signing new clients and that kind of thing. So for me, it's worked out fine. That's just me. But there's lots of ways to not only build a business but run a business. If I were 20 years younger, I would build this business so big, and I would outsource,
Mhm.
outsource billing.
Yeah.
But I would build it so big. Like right now, I'm not going to tell anyone how much I'm making, but it's a really good gig, even compared to pharmaceutical sales, which was a really good
Mm.
gig. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I'm right where I want to be, and it's worked out well.
Nice. Uh, Shazaya is asking, do you target any specific areas? Did you ever get specific on where you marketed?
Um, I did initially. It was local. I just marketed to local offices here, and that still is the main focus of where we're at right now. Subsequently, through referrals, we have uh, several clients in other cities that are not anywhere around here. So yeah, you
Yeah,
can
and
market
that's through
lots of ways.
referrals, right? But not targeted, but referrals.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yep, for
Yeah.
referrals. And again, I'm specifically thinking about uh, behavioral health clients here and that tight-knit community. Happened to sign one, and then just one led to another, and
Yeah.
it's worked out.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. If you guys go back and watch any of our other interviews on YouTube, the people that have, multiple clients, almost always there's clients in other states that they don't even live in. There's clients they have that they have never met face to face. They just, that doctor heard from their doctor that they were doing a good job and they wanted to do business. And so they, sent them an electronic signature, electronic agreement and signed it and did the deal. And they never met them face to face and they're making good money. So,
Yeah, yeah, I've got several that I've never met face to face. I've never the one I have talked with on the phone one time, um, and she's been a client for 2 years.
wow.
Yeah, so yeah,
That's the beauty of all of our systems being cloud-based. They run on any computer. Like Jeff said, he can take his laptop to the beach and do work if he wants to. Very, very flexible, scalable business that way. It's super cool. Speaking of software, Gory asked a question. Which software are you using for billing, ABS software or doctor software? I know you mentioned that you do have clients on our partner platform, NextGen.
Mhm.
Um, are you using other systems for other clients or?
I am. Yeah, yeah. There's so we meaning licensees with ABS have have access to three platforms. All three are really good. All three have their place. I've got clients on our you know proprietary or not proprietary. I mean the next gen and the like.
Mhm.
Um, but I work in about seven or eight different software systems. So
Wow.
the idea is claims and billing is the same thing no matter what software you're using. The software, I'll be real honest. We've got great software, and if an office has a compelling reason to switch software, then we believe me, we've got lots of stuff that we can show them at different price points and different features and that type of thing. However, if they don't have a compelling reason to switch software, fine with me. That's actually not a bad situation because you can step in to a billing role a lot quicker, and if you learn a new software, which you can do anyway, I mean, you're going to have to, if you're new or no matter where you're at, you're going to have to learn software anyway. Okay, whether it's one of our current ones or if it's something that's outside the ABS family. So, if I learn different software, all of a sudden I become a lot more valuable to other offices. I can go and say, oh yeah, I've experienced in eClinical Works, or yeah, Therapy Notes, I'm real familiar with that. So that becomes a non-issue. If someone asks you, can you work in my software? Yes, I can. No matter what they say, yes, I can, because it's not difficult to learn. Every software has built-in tutorials and um, support staffs and that type of thing that you can call and learn how to use it. So yeah,
Yeah.
software is
Yeah, we tell people the basic functionality is very similar. The bells and whistles might be a little different. How did you have any, like, how did you learn those new systems? Did ABS help? Did you have to go to their e-learning libraries or what?
Yeah, well, I made full use of the e-learning libraries for learning our software systems. So when I say our, it's the ABS systems. It's the next gen Myriad and RxNT. Um, but for learning the new systems, just digging into the tutorials that are built into the various software. Just
Yeah.
just watching videos that they have embedded in their system, that type of thing.
I'm glad we covered that because a lot of people looking into this business, they get it stuck in their mind that they have to sell our software to doctors. They get
Mm.
just laser focused on that, and that's not the case at all, right?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, it would not be a smart business decision to think you are a software salesperson. What I mean by that is that we don't make, relative to billing, we don't make any any money on software. When I say any, 5%, 10% margin, something like that. That's
Mhm.
nothing compared to what billing contracts are. Billing contracts, if you do a good job, they're an annuity. I've got a master's in finance, so I'm real familiar with financial vehicles, and it's an annuity, is what it is. So you do the work, and it's just month after month after month. It's not cyclical. It's nothing like that. Um, Software, yeah, I honestly, we've got really good software, but if someone has their own software, I can work in it.
Yep, yep. You never want to try to twist their arm into something that they're not not ready to move to. So, yeah. Omasanya said to echo Barbara, ABS support team has been great. They are always there when I need them. Thank you so much for that kind remark there, Omasanya. And another one from Shazaya here. I also agree that ABS support team is great. They're always available for assistance. I'm really thankful. I did not pay these people to say that. I just want you guys
Well,
to know.
and I'll Adam, I'll fourth that really quickly, and what I mean by that is second, third, fourth it, I guess. Um, what I mean by that is that I'm not kidding you. I leaned on support so much when I started because I didn't know anything. I just didn't know anything,
Yeah.
and that ended up being, that was the thing, honestly, that I was most apprehensive about when I started. When I was exploring ABS, I'm thinking, well, I don't know a thing about billing. What am I going to do if I get stuck? And as it turns out, that ended up being the best part of the entire deal, is the ability to pick up the phone and call and get an expert on the other end of the line. That's what carried me through the first three. And then, like I said, once you get the hang of it, you don't need support quite as much. I mean, if there's things that you need help with, support is there. But if you don't, no big deal. But at the beginning, it was super important for me.
Yeah, I mean that's why we offer lifetime support because we know people just need that level of comfort knowing that they can always reach out to us. But like you said, after the first year or so, we usually don't hear a lot. People don't need a whole lot of help from us because they've got it up and running, so they're good. Um, let's see. So let's go ahead and we're almost at the top of the hour here, or the bottom of the hour, bottom of the hour. Um, Don asked a question, and let's talk about this because you and I were talking about this before we started. How many total clients do you have now? So let's talk about your how your business has ebbed and flowed,
Mhm.
and how many clients you built up to. And I hear that you've kind of reduced a little bit.
I have, yep. So this time last year I had 16 clients. Um, and now I've got eight. And when I say clients, I count clients as some people count them differently, but I count them as individual providers. Um, so one of the group was a large office that I ended up selling the contract, and now, but it was by design. Um, I want, I'm at a point right now where everything is really manageable, and again, it was the opportunity presented itself, and it made a lot of sense, so I did that. So right now I've got eight. I've got eight clients.
That's awesome. Now, let's go ahead and so you're able to spend more time with family. Now you've got some grandkids, is that right?
We do, yep. Three grandkids. Two of them are starting different sports. So we're last night we went to a t-ball game, I'm happy to say. So we went and
Nice.
watched my just turned 5-year-old grandson Lucas play t-ball, and tomorrow we're treated to a back-to-back game of coach pitch and t-ball with Noah and Lucas. So yeah,
Nice.
my little little inside info there, but it's that's why I wanted to kind of downsize. I mean, um, just to spend more time with them and with our family and be able to travel. I mean, we're looking at, we go to Hilton Head quite a bit, and um, we we're looking at going on the river cruise next year for our 40th wedding anniversary. So yeah,
Wow.
all that stuff is kind of what we're working at, right? Or working toward right now.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great to hear that this business allows you, the freedom. If you want to just up and take a week vacation, just do it, and
Yep.
you can either work while you're there or not. Uh,
Right. No, well,
yeah,
we go to South Carolina, like I said, all the time. It's a couple, at least 2 or 3 times a year, and I'll bring my computer, and I'm in business down there. Uh, do the business here while I have a, a beverage next to me, and it works out fine. It's exactly what I had in mind when I started it.
that's awesome. All right, so we've got a good one here from Delta. Delta is asking, they say, good afternoon. I'm interested in joining the ABS business opportunity. Being the devil's advocate here, I have a bit of concern. I'm on the bench. I don't know what's worse, being on the bench or being on the fence. I don't know what's worse. Being that most doctors' offices, from what I have seen, do have an in-house staff already in place, checking you in, checking your insurance when you enter for an appointment. I find it a bit impractical that they will hire you now to do their billing. As such, I see this as a challenge. How do you find doctors who are available?
Yeah, no, it's a valid concern, a valid question. Um, as many that are in that situation, there's others that outsource their billing, and there's others that are thinking about outsourcing their billing. Um, it's for me, it's pretty easy to talk with someone who has either an in-house biller or something like that. I'll ask them, what happens when your billers go on vacation, or what happens if they, God forbid, were to get sick or to move to another job opportunity. What happens then? Um, you know, I mean, it's a concern. There's plenty of offices out there, plenty of fish in the sea, so to speak, and as many as are in that situation, there's at least that many who are outsourcing billing and or looking at doing that, and don't want to worry about personnel as much. I mean, they want to, um, we were talking earlier about outsourcing um, claim. production, or the processing of claims. It's
Yeah.
the same thing with this situation. I mean, they want to outsource their billing in many cases there, not all, but in many cases. And it's just a matter of finding the offices. Not everyone is going to say yes. Um, the adage, you have to get through so many no's before you hear that yes. If back when I was again doing much more marketing on a uh, you know on the ground basis, so to speak, if someone said no, no, Jeff, we're not interested. No big deal. I mean, it's not a big deal at all, because all that means is that I'm closer to that person who's going to say yes. So to your question, Delta, absolutely, there's lots of offices who do their billing in-house. We're not in the business of taking anyone's job at all. Um, but if they want to outsource that, or perhaps shift that person to more closer to the patient, toward patient care, and maybe put that person's focus on a patient as opposed to, in front of a keyboard or picking up phones or whatever they're doing, then we are here. We can certainly help them.
That's what I was going to ask you. Have you run into practices where the doctor has someone who is tasked with doing all the billing duties, but they have a bunch of other stuff that they have to do throughout the day? Like, have you seen that?
All the time. Yeah, you cut out a little bit there, Adam, so I'm not sure if I caught all the
I was just
question.
saying, like, have you talked with a doctor who they have a staff person who is their biller, but also has to check in patients, I mean, do all kinds of other things.
All the time. I mean, yes, there's you run into that situation a lot, and that again is an easy comparison. Um, it's hard. I mentioned, and we were talking about 15 minutes on a physical therapy client. Um, that's uninterrupted. If someone has to answer phones, or uh, room a patient, or do lots of other things, that really breaks up the day there. And God forbid they have to follow up on a claim. They have to call Blue Cross Blue Shield or Medicare or something like that. That can take quite a bit of time. So yes, no, I think we're positioned. Again, not everyone's going to say yes to what we do, but fortunately enough are there to make this a really, really good business opportunity.
Yeah, and we have a tool, a practice analysis tool that you can actually demonstrate that if they get some of these headaches out of the office, it frees up the doctors, frees up the staff to do everything else they have to do. And so you're improving their lives, you're improving their workflow. And the whole idea is you're able to focus on those headaches. And so you can typically collect more money for them, reduce their denials, get them paid faster, lots of benefits that we can demonstrate through some of these tools that we have. So, yeah. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. This hour has already gone by. That was really quick. That was a great
Hmm.
chat. Yeah, thank you so much for taking all those questions.
Yep, my pleasure.
Um, yeah, any final thoughts to people that are looking into this business?
I would just, encourage everyone to do their due diligence. If you have a reference list, call as many people as you need to get, information from. I made full use of that reference list back
Mhm.
8 years ago. So yeah, just again, do your due diligence. You'll know if this is the right opportunity or not. I mean, it's not for everyone, but for me, it's worked out really, really well. And I wish I would have, like I said, discovered it 20 years ago. um, but I'm enjoying where we're at right now. So
And
thanks, Adam.
understand that you would be happy to chat with someone who's looking into the business as a
Sure.
reference.
Yep.
Okay.
Happy to.
All
Mhm.
right, you guys heard it here. Get back with your ABS rep if you'd like to chat with Jeff one-on-one, and we can provide his contact information. I've got a few more slides to go through, but thanks for joining us, Jeff. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Thanks, Adam. Take
All
care.
right, have a good night.